again, my name's Ed, and as I always say, this is Atheist the Bird with No Cage. I'm 79 years old right now. Maybe one of the things that I'm shotgunning like crazy today. I do that a lot of times. I always make this excuse because I'm not the kind of YouTuber that does a whole bunch of research and line stuff up, basically memorize and or read the comments and presentation that I'm presenting. What you see is what you get, and it's just coming. But I'm trying to delve into the idea if there's something different about being someone like myself. I'm a skeptic, a rationalist. I claim to be a rational thinker. I try to be. I look for fallacies in my thinking and of course in other people's thinking and that kind of thing. But I'm trying to dig down and see if I can find anything that's fundamentally different about, for example, me and the way I live my life and someone like my friend Rob, who is a preacher, and my other friend David, who's a Jehovah's Witness. He's not an elder or anything, but I'm not sure. He's just an enthusiastic member. He's a 71-ish year old guy, and he does presentations in the Jehovah's Witness church on occasion, and at least he's a wannabe do that. I don't really know his story that much. Anyway, the point is, what the hell's the difference between a person like that, either one of those, David or Ron, and myself, who, not at the top of the list, but one of the things I label myself as is an atheist. I don't believe in any deities. Of course, the fact that I don't believe in deities is not like a separate thing. It's I don't believe in any spirits, ghosts, nothing. I think the whole idea of a supernatural world is imaginary. It just doesn't map with reality. So, okay. So when I'm talking to Ron's a preacher. One thing that I find a little bit disconcerting is I see in our discussions that Ron is willing to equivocate and maybe stretch the truth a little bit to make his point. He seems to be very intent on making his point. His point being that the deity, Yahweh, and especially Jesus are somehow real and pertinent in how we live our lives, and I just don't get it. So one of the things I see from my perspective is I never have to exaggerate anything. I don't have to try to sell some belief that I have or anything, because everything that I believe is equates with the way the world seems to work. So I don't get caught telling a story and then that's not true, and then the next time forgetting what story I told, because there is none of that. It's just I'm just talking about my observation, the way I view what goes on. Okay. Now with Dave, Okay, first of all, Ron is the preacher. He's, I guess, he's kind of a born-again guy. Let me just tangent onto the born-again idea. In a way, that seems to be a way of avoiding facing anything, because they say, well, like, unlike the Catholics, if we're talking about Catholics, we can attack the Pope, and where the hell does he get his power? Priests, and we know some of the horror that goes on with priests, the pedophile issues and all of that. But it was wrong waving this as a badge of courage. I'm a born again, and my whole religious belief, all my theology is based on a personal relationship with Jesus. Now, again, I had a conversation about that personal relationship with Jesus idea several years ago. I had another friend that lived just down the street from me and ran a little restaurant, and I used to drop in there and have breakfast and chat with him often. And he wasn't an actual preacher, but he wanted to talk about his belief all the time, which was great with me because I love that conversation also. And in one conversation, this David suggested to me that I was being arrogant because I denied the existence of God or this Jesus or Holy Ghost things or stuff like that. And he seemed to suggest that by denying that those things were in control of my life or could control my life, that I was setting myself up as the arbiter of everything. You know, it was the trick is they say, oh, you want to be God. Well, on that issue, yeah, if it were possible, you're damn right, I'd like to be God. In 10 minutes, and less than the time it's going to take to make this video, I could make the world a hell of a lot better place if I were God. I could stop a whole lot of shit that's going on, just natural disasters and stuff like that, and tons of stuff. And if I were God, in other words, I had the power to do anything, I could build a whole lot more hospitals and universities and, you know, sure. But when I pointed out to him that it wasn't like I was saying I didn't believe in God because I want my own God or something like that. And in fact, what I pointed out is, yeah, I don't believe in God. He said, well, you have nothing to, you don't want to depend on anything. And I go, I depend on tons of things. I believe in lots of things. That my relationship with my wife, Glenn, is the ultimate thing in my life, and she's incredibly important to me. My little dog over there, Luna, is incredibly important to me. Music is important to me, the guitar, that kind of thing. There's lots of things. So the argument was about, he was suggesting that I was being arrogant. So he said, okay, I said, let's take a look at that. You say I'm arrogant. I claim that I depend on my wife, I depend on my family and friends, and not only that, I love and admire and my home and my music and my guitars. You know, to say that I'm arrogant, I guess there's times when you could call me arrogant. I claim to have a good sense of what's real and not real, or maybe I'm a little hard on religious folks when they're trying to tell me about all the magic stuff they believe in. But then I quickly went, okay, well, hold it. You're telling me this David guy, the born agains are basically all saying this, that they have a personal relationship with this Jesus guy. Well, okay, let's bounce off the idea that they think I'm being arrogant. Now, he's telling me that this Jesus guy is God, is the creator of the universe, has all power, all knowledge and everything, and he's buddies with this guy. Who the hell is being arrogant here? And when I posed that question to him, he did a big double take and kind of went, yeah, when you put it that way, it does sound arrogant. Well, I don't see any other way to put it. This imaginary, all-powerful dude is your buddy. I'm not sure if I'm wandering from the main idea, like what the hell's the difference between how does it affect my life, or how does it affect the life, change the life of someone like me who says, I'm an atheist, I don't believe in any of that stuff, I don't believe in any supernatural. How does that change my life in any fundamental way from the person that says they're a believer? I don't think there's really anything different. I just don't get it. I mean, I just don't believe. I don't believe there's a heaven and a hell, but that doesn't change the way I live my life or the way I treat my friends, like Jose, the guy behind the camera, or anything. It's just, so I would like to pose the question perhaps to believers, particularly Christian believers, including my good friend Dave, the Jehovah's Witness guy, is, for example, one question would be, if I changed and decided that I actually believed in this Jehovah guy and stuff, and you know, accepted Jehovah's Witness religion sort of thing, how would that change my life or change me as a person for the better? And I mean, I check it out, and unless we buy into their things that if you're not a believer, you know, or if this stuff is true, then every thought you have that doesn't agree with God makes me an evil person. If I buy into that kind of shit, well, I've got no argument. But I don't buy into that kind of shit, and the fact that I don't believe in this deity, I don't see how it changes my thinking at all. Things I'm trying to do is to make all of these videos shorter, and I'm not sure that I'm winning the battle today with sticking to the point, but I do want to carry on a conversation with believers, especially Christian believers. I'd be happy to talk with Muslims or what do we call those guys, the Seventh-day Adventists, Mormons, any of those people, how their life is better than mine, or how they are better people than I happen to be. I try to live my life I don't rob anybody, you know, do any of those horrible things to other people, and try to be as reasonable and easygoing and helpful by times with other people as I can. And I just don't see the point of putting on, you know, all this other shit about, oh, if I go, oh, this God guy is wonderful and I give my life to him and everything. That just all seems to be not only not true, you're talking about an imaginary thing, but not at all useful. It just, I just don't get it. So whatever's left of my life, I'm for sure going to live with the way I am living. Okay, that's good for today. We're getting long enough here. It's over 14 minutes, as Jose reminded me. This is Atheist the Bird with No Cage again. My name is Ed. I'm 79 years old. And by the way, my age and my realization that I'm, relatively near the end of my life, who knows how long I'm going to live. Not that much longer, I'm sure. But that sure as hell has not done anything to change my mind about the apparent fact that there are no deities, ghosts, holy things, or there's none of that shit. It just does not exist. And I've looked and looked, and I'm convinced it just does not exist. Okay, thanks a lot for today. I hope you liked this video. I hope that it shows how good. We tried to set it up so that I'm in this arch here, and maybe I look like somebody important or shit like that. And we got the great work of Jose Luis here going on with the camera work and everything. So thanks, and until next time, take care. Bye.